Hi everyone, welcome back to another curriculum mapping with G Suite video. In an earlier post, Stephen shared some Google Apps Script to create a sidebar for inserting standards into the unit planners. Now, I've been thinking about this and I really like this approach, and I've taken that code and I've adapted it for Google Sheets into a private add-on that I've deployed domain-wide um, in a way to sort of track outcomes per student. So I think this is an interesting way of looking at the outcomes at a student level and to sort of attach performance indicators per outcome per unit. And of course, this may not be realistic in all cases, but at least for some outcomes per unit, it may be interesting to be able to create sort of a map of where individual students are in terms of achievement levels. So without any further explanation, I'm going to move to my sandbox domain and kind of show you what I've been working on. So this is just your typical Google Sheet, and I've installed my add-on, largely based on the code that Stephen shared in the community. So when I open outcome tracker, the outcome tracker, a lot of things are going to happen, and I'll talk about each of these things. So the first thing, of course, that you'll notice is that on the right-hand side, we get this accordion style sidebar with the school standards. So in these, when clicked on, are pasted into the active cell. Whichever cell that is active, it'll paste that information there. Other things that are here is you can select the unit of inquiry. So as a PYP school, this happens to be the first grade units of inquiry. So say we are working on where we are in place and time. I can choose that from the drop down. Next, I can proceed to add the outcomes that I'm going to focus on. And in this case, these are information and communication literacies in this example, but you could have a variety of other outcomes or whatnot. But then I can go ahead and simply by clicking on the outcomes, there is a transpose function in this cell. So as you can start to notice, we're kind of building it looks like a grade book in many ways, or a marking book. So I'm going to continue to add a few more of these. And maybe just one more. Because again, we don't want to overdo it. Oh, I got to click on. That's one thing I'd like to make it auto advance the active cell because I have to keep clicking back and forth. So that's something I'm looking into a way to improve. But say we've got these four outcomes that are addressed in this unit. The other cool thing is that I can actually import my class roster, right? So I could have multiple classes preloaded. And again, this is the reason why this is a private add-on, only deployed in my domain, because it will contain student names. This is just a sample domain, so all of the stuff you hear is not real, but it could be real. So if I click on class 1, it's going to give me my student list. And I also have drop downs here for performance indicators. Now notice how there aren't any right in here. I would have to relaunch the sidebar at this time just because the code is based on the last row of data. I haven't figured out how to sort of make these wait to appear until the roster is loaded. But if I simply close this and relaunch the outcome tracker, it'll populate the rest of this sort of marking book with this drop-down menu. So now I can proceed to assess where Sally is, or Jorge, so on and so forth. And ultimately, I'm going to use conditional formatting to, in a sense, change the background color, so to really kind of produce a colorful looking map of performance indicators of these outcomes based on this specific unit. So it's essentially a way to track outcomes data that it's good to refer to when it comes time to write progress reports or report cards, but it's just a way to access the data. So again, this is largely due to the code that Stephen shared. I've simply adapted it to work with Google Sheets. And really the engine behind all of this is just 2 Google Sheets. So as Stephen mentioned, there's the standards bank. And again, this is just multiple tabs of standards. And then the other piece to this is the master database. And this contains all of the class rosters and the performance indicators as well. And these are brought into the outcome tracker sheet via an import range that's hard-coded into the add-on. So there you have it. It's just a simple way of doing sort of individual tracking of outcomes per student. I hope you like the idea, and thanks for watching. Bye.